On the outside looking in, it looked like people were making money effortlessly.
The cops came off the ramp, dog. I'm like, we're done with Cook.
Yeah, you got to be fucking after it. You got to be about it.
The cop came behind us, flashed his lights.
And we were smoking too.
And yeah. What's up, my boy?
What's up, E?
What's up, my boy?
What's going on?
Just trying to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
Stay out of the way.
Yeah, I ain't man.
Once again, it's I See the God King sitting here with Gino the Exec.
That's me.
Gene Warren, you know.
That's me.
I just put out our last week video and we got some good feedback. People seeing interest in what we were talking about. I'm pleasantly surprised.
It's always great to have good feedback.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And good conversation too. So the last time we was hanging out, we had a conversation off camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to dive back into that. And in diving into that, I know we're gonna dive into your story too. Mm-hmm. Gene was or still is a business genius, you know. So in that, when he was doing his thing, he used to nonchalantly tell me, yeah, you know my driver, dog. I had a driver and everything. So the first couple of times you would tell me about it, I thought you was just bullshit, you know, talking that talk.
Yeah.
And then, but you kept mentioning it, like my driver. The nigga didn't even have a name. His name was just my driver, the driver. Well, tell everybody about the driver situation.
Okay. So, yeah, so, you know, we was getting money. And so he worked at, I think we met him at like McDonald's, but his brother actually like lived in the same condominiums that we were living in, right? And so, you know, we'd always kind of see him around and find out he worked at McDonald's and stuff. So ended up kind of just bringing him under my wing and just being like, you know, because he was always around and I'm like, you know, how much you making at McDonald's? You know what I mean? Like you could come up here and make more money than that on the bad week. You know what I mean? Like you just gonna make more money. So that's what happened. And
was he younger than you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the age gap you think?
Ah, man, probably like, I feel like 10 years.
Oh, so he was
I feel like 10 years. Yeah, you know, he was a fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't know nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you working at McDonald's, bro. Like, you know, you off the porch.
Right.
Right? Like, you ain't really out the house for real. You know what I'm saying?
He like out of high school at this point.
Yeah, out of high school. Out of high school.
Did you see anything in him that made you say, hey, I want to take him under my wing? Or was it just like happens? Did you just kind of stumble into that?
Did I see anything in him? That's a good question. I had to see something in him.
Right.
For the role that he kind of grew into, it was you know, he would see areas where he can add, so even though he didn't have shit,
add value.
Right. He saw areas where he could add value, even though he didn't have money.
Right.
He couldn't really contribute in that fashion, but he just was, you know, could find ways where he could kind of add value. So so I'm like, damn, you know, let's keep him around because it's like I said, on a bad week, he'll make more money than he making here.
Right.
You know, and he'll start to develop and learn some skills that could be beneficial for him later on. You know what I mean?
So basically you gave him a job opportunity to work for you. Not driving the car.
No. Initially he wasn't working for me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just was like, hey, like, you know, like I see you ain't making no money. Come over here and fuck with us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, get with the money team. Right. You know, because I was doing that. I was recruiting people and bringing people under my wing and shit like that, and then putting them on to the money. Right. You know, so I'm like, okay, well, you probably don't really have the skill set, but you can start to develop it and you'll figure it out. Right. But you'll be in a better position than you are now up here at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't like he was at McDonald's like, yeah, you know, I'm working to become the manager, and then when I become the manager, I'm gonna do this and that. It was just like you just needed a job and you got one at McDonald's. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't really have no direction for real. You know what I mean? You out here trying to find a way. So I'm like, okay, well, we kind of got a lane. You know what I mean? Come on over here and fuck with it. You know, and so that's kind of how I started. I started to advance in what I was doing, and eventually I started my own thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, and then at that point, everybody worked for me. On the outside looking in, it looked like people were making money effortlessly. You know, but
you had to have that skill set.
You had to have the skill set, and you also had to have the work ethic. You know,
tenacity.
Yeah, you got to be fucking after it. You got to be about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to fuck your whole day, week up if it don't pan out. You know, and you spend all night thinking about it in bed to go at it the next day type stuff. You know what I mean? And so he you know, he didn't really have that in him like that. Yeah, so he's showing where he can add value, and you know, just driving was one of those things. You know what I mean? It was like a lot of stuff I didn't ask. You know, a lot of the roles that people stepped into that someone might see as, oh, okay, they are subservient to me.
You didn't ask him to drive. Basically, he just said, "Hey, I'll take you," and you was like, "Yeah, go ahead."
No, it was more like you get in the back.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So he took charge of his position.
Right. You know, and that's what people did, bro. Like, I didn't ask.
Was that your first time experiencing that?
I want to say no. Yeah, I want to say no. You know what I mean?
But that was the peak. That was the pinnacle of feeling like that, or no?
Was it the pinnacle? I don't. It's not something that I ever even monitor. Like, I'm just thinking about it, talking to you right now. But it's not something that I ever like. Oh,
you
well,
like
how many
times
has that happened? Yeah, it just kind of fell into me. Like, when it was happening, it was weird. Not all of it, but some of it, of the people like, hey, I'll handle this. Hey, I'll do this. Don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? It was it kind of threw me off at first, like, okay, like, because a lot of this was going on before I really started making any real money for it.
Right. So in a sense,
it was like people was
built for the shit.
It was like people were staking their claim. It was like an IPO. Right. It was like, okay, you see where this shit going, and then I want to go ahead and get in. I'm looking at it like ain't nothing happened yet. Like,
right. They seeing it before you.
Right.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so he tell you to get in the back. And then you say, all right, cool, fuck it. And for the record, he was driving a what kind of car was it?
A 750 Li BMW.
and that was one of the times that I was inspired to, like, nigga, go high, go home. And as you can see, this car that we're sitting in now, it was initially cultivated from being around you. So you do that. And it was like a level that I didn't even think was obtainable, especially at that time of our life. And I would get in the back of your car, and it was a whole experience, dog. This nigga was on I-4 going to the casino. We went to the drive-through liquor store in Orlando, and then we was going to go to Tampa to go to the casino. This is my first time seeing this shit. So then I'm like, the nigga driving a nice BMW. Then he's like, hey, we got some people I don't know. This strangers is getting in the cars to me. It was a whole bag of bottles, and they popping them while we driving. And I'm like, this nigga like Scarface, bro. What the fuck is going on? Or what the movie Belly? Buns. You was like Buns on Belly, dog. Yeah. I'm like, this nigga was doing 110 miles per hour, and I got footage of that. The cops came off the ramp, dog. I'm like, we're done. We're cooked. The cop came behind us, flashed his lights.
And we were smoking too.
And nigga, all the black stereotypes. Right. They was in there smoking,
everything but fried chicken. Right. And watermelon.
The mint was watermelon.
Right.
Watermelon flavor. But anyway,
watermelon champagne.
Yeah, but then the cop just flashed his light. It's like a slow down, and then went about his business. At that moment, I ain't gonna lie, though, I was like, dog, this nigga's he's a part of the Illuminati. Satan protected him. I never seen anything like this. I was about, damn, I'm about to go to jail the first time in Orlando or Polk County.
For real.
And nothing happened, dog. And I was like, I didn't have a reference for it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I stole the light, but that's why we sitting in this vehicle right now, because of him. So okay, he tell you get in the back.
Yeah, he tell me to get in the back. So I get in the back, and that's where that's just kind of what it ended up being. You know what I mean? It was just,
so did you have to remind him like, hey dog, you still want to drive again? Or he just like, nigga, this is my role?
Nah, it was just this my role. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like would look at me crazy if I'm like trying to drive.
Trying to drive.
Like,
okay.
What are you doing?
So then